Essentially, Paul Skenes was the best pitcher since Steven Strasburg. And
it's funny because you get some people, and like, I mean, I don't care about Twitter abuse because you're going to get Twitter abuse no matter what you tweet about. But like, I got crushed last year by a bunch of people. You can never take a pitcher number one. Pitchers are too fragile. You can never do that. And like, if you do, like my big points with Paul Skenes were he's the best pitching. He's right there with Steven Strasburg and Mark Pryor's the best pitching prospects I've ever covered. Best pitching prospects in draft history. You know, and I was, you know, one of the comparisons I was making was as good as Garrett Cole is and was at that time, he was better than Garrett Cole. Like no offense to Garrett Cole, but Paul Skenes was clearly better, different tier than Garrett Cole. And the other point, like the thing is too, if you're the Pirates and you don't take Paul Skenes at 1-1, because by the time, you know, the next crack you're going to get at him is when he's a free agent. Nobody's trading Paul Skenes. So 6.5 years from now, when Paul Skenes is a free agent, he's going to get like $50 million a year with the way contracts are going, if not more. Like, you know, assuming he stays healthy. So if you're the Pirates and you want Paul Skenes, you got one shot to draft him and you take it. And, you know, my point I made about Strasburg, he's been hurt and he signed that big contract toward the end of his career that he never lived up to because he barely pitched. But when he was healthy, which was for, you know, 5-6 years, he was as good as any pitcher in the game. And he was World Series MVP. The Nationals won a World Series. I mean, they had other guys on the team too, but they won a World Series because of Steven Strasburg. And you can win a World Series. Like if you have Paul Skenes, like that's the type of guy who could dominate a postseason for you. And you get in the World Series. I'm not saying he's just going to throw his glove out there, but Paul Skenes can win his two starts in the World Series. Then you only need 2 more wins and you're a champion. And it just pretty much any game Paul Skenes is going to pitch, he's going to be the best pitcher on the mound. And like, there's guys with more track record right now in the big leagues. But like for one game, if I had to pick one guy to pitch one game to win it, my life depended on right now, I might take Paul Skenes. like I don't know. I mean, who else is in that discussion? Like there's guys who've done it longer, but I just think the stuff and command, you just don't see that. So yeah, pretty cool deal for the Pirates to win the lottery. They picked the right year to win the lottery.
So I remember watching back because we weren't able to be on that night, and you talking about Paul Skenes. And I was still in between Dylan Cruz and Paul Skenes because Dylan Cruz just seemed like a steady type of guy, a steady presence in your lineup every day. And the way you spoke about Paul Skenes and the dominance of you're drafting him to win a World Series, essentially.
Yeah. I mean,
it like clicked with me.
You about every 10 years, you know, there's, you know, when I first started working at Baseball America, you had Ben McDonald in 1989, and people thought he was like the best pitching prospect in draft history at that point. And then you had Mark Pryor come around in the early 2000s, and then Strasburg, I think was 2009. And then, you know, and then we had, you know, Skenes last year. It's like about once every 10 years. Like, and all those guys, I mean, it's funny. People like Ben McDonald had a better career than people realize. Like, you know, he wound up getting hurt a lot too. I mean, it's the nature of pitching, but he was pretty good when he was healthy also. And he, I mean, I don't think he won as many games as people hope, but like he was, you know, a pretty solid career in the big leagues too. So I just hope, I mean, I know you guys hope if Paul Skenes stays healthy, he's going to be so fun to watch. And I was fortunate. I live in Chicago, so I went and saw his second game where he pitched the no-hitter for 6 innings and I think it was 11 strikeouts, 1 walk, and the 1 walk shouldn't have been a walk. The home plate umpire missed about 7 or 8 strikes. He was actually getting squeezed, and he pitched 6 no-hitter. I mean, and honest to God, like, I mean, I know it's a different era, but if it was like, okay, you know, 20 years ago where you let guys go 9 innings, I think Paul Skenes would have pitched no-hitter that day. The Cubs had no clue against him.
Yeah. Did you, just real quick, did you think, I know you were a big Skenes proponent. Did you think he'd be this good this quick?
You know, I didn't necessarily think about it until I was sitting there watching his second start, and he was dominant. And it dawned on me, because like I said, I mean, I've talked so much about him. I have my spiel down. Like, the 3 best pitch prospects I've ever covered in 36 years are Mark Pryor, Steven Strasburg, Paul Skenes. When I was watching Paul Skenes dominate the Cubs, and I actually went to Mark Pryor's debut when he came up, his first year with the Cubs. And when I was watching Skenes, like, I don't know why I hadn't thought of it before, and I just clicked. And I was like, you know, when Mark Pryor came up, he was as good as any pitcher. But like, Mark Pryor probably should have won the Cy Young Award his first full season. And then he couldn't say, you know, Mark Pryor only had, you know, about 3 seasons worth of performance stretched over 5 or 6 because he was hurt. But like he was as good, as any pitcher in baseball right away. And then when he was healthy, and the same thing with Steven Strasburg. I think Steven Strasburg came up. I can't remember how he struck out in his first game, but it was, I think, double digits. He was everything he was
A
supposed to
bunch of
be.
Pirates.
It was against the
Yeah,
Pirates.
that's right. It was against the Pirates. And I want to say, did Pryor debut against the Pirates too? He might have. Mark Pryor might have debuted against the Pirates.
He
also
might have. Yeah.
But so anyway, like, so I'm watching Paul Skenes and I realized, like, yeah, when those other guys came up, the other two guys I compared to him, they were immediately the best pitcher in baseball. And so, I mean, of course, it helps when you're watching him strike out 11 and 6 no-hit innings. But it just dawned on me. I was like, okay, like after that, I was like, yeah, this is what we're gonna get. Paul Skenes is gonna be as good as any pitcher in baseball. So I hadn't really thought about it, but then, so I won't say I predicted he would do that. But like during that second game, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot what this was like. Like he's gonna be as good as anybody. And like, I mean, what was it, like a 61-8 strikeout to walk ratio or something? Like his numbers are crazy.
Yeah, 61-8 and 46.
And the funny thing was,
innings. Yeah,
you guys saw, his first. Well, you've seen probably most of his starts, but his first start was against Cubs too. It was a weird game where the bullpen. Let two of his runners score, and then
most frustrating start ever.
Yeah, it was crazy. and like, of course, Twitter after that was like, "Oh, 3 runs in 4 innings. This guy's overrated." And like, he's been untouchable since then.
Yeah, it's
and I
been
just
really...
I'm sorry, I was gonna say you have to love his just like, he's not like, he's very reserved, but he's just very confident. And I just loved. I think it was the day before he pitched against the Cubs second time, and I can't remember who the reporter was, who asked him in the dugout, like, hey, Cubs hadn't seen you before. You hadn't seen them. It's game of adjustments. How do you think that's going to be the second time you see him? And it's like, he just looked at it and he's like, go ahead and adjust. Good luck. And it was just, it was like, yeah, like it was funny. And you guys have probably seen, I know it's fake, but like the clip where they have him, like the Kenny Powers voice. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that one.
I think I have.
Oh yeah. I'll see if I can find it. It's one where he's at a press conference, but it's Kenny Powers talking, and it's pretty ridiculous.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah. No, it's been a lot of fun to watch him. He just does things on the mound that I've never seen anybody do. Like that splinker that apparently just came out of nowhere. It's an incredible pitch. And then you put that on top of his fastball and his slider and the way he commands everything. It's been a lot of fun to watch him.
Yeah, it's like he didn't need that pitch, but like it's crazy. So it's enjoy him. And like I said, I mean, again, you always have to caveat with a pitcher, but I feel like, I mean, he stays healthy, he's a Hall of Famer. Like you just don't see guys with that kind of stuff and that kind of control, and he's strong. Hopefully he holds up, because he's pretty interesting. And then, I mean, you don't get to see him hit anymore because we have universal DH, but he's a pretty good hitter too.